I want you to speak about how you spoke on it earlier about the black aristocracy, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted you to pretty much list the categories of what is termed the quote-unquote black aristocracy or the black bourgeoisie. Bourgeois.
Indeed. The reason why I use the term aristocracy or elitist black or talented tenth more so than bourgeois, because, again, bourgeois speaks to middle class. It speaks to wealth ownership. And because black people don't own any wealth, even our athletes, they own almost no wealth. Almost no wealth. The average athlete puts his money into clothing, cars, and they might have an expensive home. There's some wealth there, but it's not really liquid, because if they go broke, as you've seen with Mike Tyson and as you've seen with other athletes, they're not even able to sell them homes because the home was so expensive that they can't liquidate it if they actually needed the cash. So the home is wealth, but they can't really be liquidated because they're too expensive, and the average person just can't afford to buy it overnight. Okay? And plus, the average white person would rather let the home foreclose. And once the home foreclosed, they ain't got to buy it from the silly Negro who bought it. They'll get it from the bank after they repossess it. So the average black athlete doesn't have any wealth either. In fact, there was a show that just came on about 2 weeks ago. I watched it when I was in Los Angeles, I think. And the show was called Broke. It was called Broke. And the show was about black athletes who have literally gone broke. And some of the names on the list blew my mind because I didn't know that they were broke. And the list had about 500 different athletes who were once rich and now broke because they mismanaged their money and didn't put it into any asset-building wealth investment. So that's what's going on with us. We're so interested in looking good that we don't even keep track of our money. But getting back to the black aristocracy, the black aristocracy has a long and rich history in this country. The black aristocracy has been around as long as there's been free blacks in America. Not necessarily talking about the Africans who were here prior to slavery, but those who came during slavery and then were able to be freed as a result of being born to free black parents or having bought their wealth. You had two groups of free blacks. You had those who fought for the blacks who were in slavery, and you had those who wanted to act like the white people. And when you study slavery, you'll find there was always two classes of free blacks, okay? You had the free blacks who fought in the Civil War, who gave their life to liberate their fellow brothers and sisters, okay? And then you had the other ones who wanted nothing to do with the Civil War, who felt that the black slaves, okay, should never be freed or should be sent back to Africa. You've always had two types of talented blacks. After Dr. King, after the Civil Rights Movement, the United States government deliberately sought to create a buffer class of black people that they could use to fight the poor and oppressed masses. This was done intentionally. The white man decided that if we keep on sicking dogs on black people, that's going to affect our reputation around the world. We got to find another way to deal with these black people than dealing with them ourselves. There can be no more direct black-white confrontation, not as much as we've been having. Sometimes we might have to straight up confront the blacks, but we want to try to confront the blacks as much as possible with other black people. That was the reason why the Talented Tenth, the black aristocracy, was created in the 1960s, especially in the 1970s. They would use them to fight the rest of us. So instead of it looking like whites oppressing blacks, it looked like blacks having disagreements with other black people. So they'll use Oprah Winfrey to say that you are your own worst problem. They'll use Bill Cosby to say you are your own worst problem. They'll use Barack Obama to say you are your own worst problem. So now white supremacy doesn't even have to defend itself because they have all these rich blacks, all these well-educated black doctors and lawyers and engineers and psychologists who will do the fighting for them. And as you notice, the average educated black person is closer to thinking like a white person than they are to thinking like a black person. This is why I have very few associates who have doctorate degrees, very few blacks who have doctorate degrees. I tend to basically keep a company to myself as it relates to blacks with doctorate degrees because the average Negro with a PhD, a JD, a MD, or a PsyD think he's better than other black people. They also tend to think that other black people are where they are because they chose to be there. they fail to recognize that those of us who become doctors are only allowed to become doctors because the system lets a few of us through. And the system lets us through the ones who they think are most likely to defend. For example, Umar Johnson was a reject. I was never supposed to make it. And almost didn't once they found out who I was and what I really stood for. Okay? So after I got my doctorate, white supremacy had to do what? Tighten its noose. Because after I graduated, and other blacks who stand up, not just me, they say, okay, we let a couple of them through who shouldn't have got through. What do we have to do different to make sure we never get another Umar Johnson? Well, maybe we got to do a background check. Maybe we got to do this. Maybe we got to do that. But when every once in a while one of us breaks through who should have never broke through, I happen to be one of them. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, rest in peace, he was one of them. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Amos Wilson, all these people, they were some of the ones who broke through. Okay, but we're not supposed to break through. And so what happens is they use that educated Negro to control the rest. Now, what are the 5 families of the black bourgeoisie? Because there's 5 families. Just like the Italian mafia has 5 families, we got 5 families. Okay? There is the entertainment aristocracy. These are black people who are well placed in entertainment. Jay-Z, Oprah Winfrey, Bob Dylan, LeBron James. It is the entertainment aristocracy. These are blacks who get rich through entertainment and athletics, and their job is to do what? Deflect all attention away from white people as being responsible for the condition of black people. As you notice, Oprah Winfrey, her whole career was based on what? Catering to white women. That's how white supremacy operates. Here's a black woman, but her whole show caters to white women. That's what white supremacy is supposed to do. Look at Jay-Z. He got all these albums out here, pussy, bitch, hoe, all these negative terms, downgrading black women, talking about dark-skinned black women, how he sold drugs, shotguns, boom, 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 boom. But all that is okay. Why is it okay? Because Jay-Z was willing to work with the owners of the Barclays system there to build that stadium and move all those poor black people out the way. So because Jay-Z was willing to do the bidding for white folks and becoming a Mason, he could really even do even more bidding for white people, okay? He is okay for him to curse and to put black people down because he's working for them now. He's on the inside. He's Obama's hip-hop person who keeps all the Negroes in check in the hip-hop industry. That's who he is. He's the Al Sharpton of the hip-hop world. You see? So you got the entertainment bourgeois. Then you have who? The academic bourgeois. Who's the academic bourgeois? These are people like, what's his name? Cornel West. And what's the one from Harvard? Henry Louis Gates. These are Negroes with doctorate degrees, and they use their education to do what? To make black people think white people is not the problem. You the problem. Something else is the problem. Ignorance is the problem, but it's not white supremacy. See, imagine the white man in the middle of a circle, and in order to get to him, you have 5 blacks standing around him. They're protecting him. That's what the aristocracy is, the entertainment aristocracy, the academic aristocracy, and then you have the religious aristocracy. Now, the religious aristocracy is one of the worst ones. They're one of the worst ones. And why are they one of the worst ones? Because they take all black people's money and in exchange only tell them that God will solve your problems. If you listen to the average black pastor, T.D. Jakes, whose son was caught playing with his penis in a park with white men, if those of y'all who haven't heard, T.D. Jakes' son is a sexual deviant. He was caught in the park playing with his penis in front of some white guys. It's all on YouTube. It's all on the Internet. All you have to do is type it in. You have Creflo Dollar, who beat his daughter with a shoe. You have Eddie Wrong, who was molesting black boys. But they are allowed to be rich. Why? Because they dissipate black revolutionary energy into religious channels. They tell black people, okay, your problem ain't the white man. Your problem is you haven't accepted Christ. All things will change for you. Everything will improve when you accept Christ. Or once you take your shahada and go to the masjid and start dealing with the teachings of Muhammad, then you'll be okay. This is what they do. And so black people listen to them, give them all their money, and then they got a nerve to turn around and say the Koreans is robbing the black community. Yes, the Koreans are robbing the black community, but the Koreans are not the biggest robbers of the black community. The biggest robbers of the black community is the black church. hands down, the black church is robbing black people way more than any Korean corner store. The black churches get way more money than the corner store. Very important that we understand it. The corner store, the corner store is operating out of a shack. Look at the average Chinese store. That's a shack, okay? They are getting paid. But now look at the church. They got a $20 million mortgage. $20 million mortgage. Do you know what that means? That means on top of paying the mortgage note, they also got money for furniture. They got money for trips. They got money for food. They got money for special guest speakers. It is a hustling operation. And their job is to do what? Make black people think their problem is not the white man. Their problem is their own sins. That's their job. And then they take all their money, so even if they decide to do something for themselves, they can't because they have to give their money to God, but all the money goes to the white bank, and then the white bank take God's money and then use that money to raise the property value in the black neighborhood. And so now the same black woman who gave her money to the church, that money is going to the bank, and that bank is going to use that money to raise the property tax value of her house, and now that black woman who gave her money to the bank is now going to be homeless because she ain't going to be able to pay the new property tax. Her money that she gave to God actually used to benefit the devil. And then the next family, okay, so we got the religious aristocracy, the academic aristocracy, the entertainment aristocracy, and then we got the status aristocracy. The status. These are Negroes with titles. I'm the chief of police. I'm the president of the United States. I am a governor. I'm the vice president of this. I'm the president of that. They never the owner. They are never the owner. But they have a big title that makes you think they have power when all they is a token. And all the poor black people flock to the black people with titles because they think they can do something for them when they can't do anything for them. But the job of the token Negro with a title is to do what? Gain black people's trust. And once they gain black people's trust, black people will think that if they stick with this person, things will change, but nothing never changes. Al Sharpton is a good example of that because Al Sharpton has a title. He's an assistant to President Obama. So all the black people are drawn to Al Sharpton. Now, he don't do nothing for them, though, nothing at all, but he keeps their hope alive that if they keep on trusting him and following him, sooner or later he's going to deliver them from the white man. Total nonsense and a total waste of time. And then the last one is black people with money. Rich blacks with money. You're normally looking at $500 million or more. Now, some blacks belong to multiple categories. Jay-Z, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Cosby, Bob Johnson, they belong to multiple categories. They belong to entertainment. They also belong to Negroes with money category. These are black people with millions of dollars, and they never give that money to anything worthwhile. They know Umar Johnson trying to build a school, but they ain't wrote a check. They know that there's different institutions we need in our community, but they ain't wrote a check. Why is it that you never see athletes and entertainers and rich black people do anything to help the neighborhood? Because the number one rule to being rich and black in America, if you want to stay rich and black, never use your money to help your own people. Never. If you want to help black people, do it in Africa. You want to help black people, go to the Caribbean. You want to help black people, go to England. You want to help black people, go to Canada. But you better never be caught using your money to help improve the condition of black people. That's why Jay-Z went to Africa and he done something for one of the villages in Africa. That was real nice, but he ain't do a damn thing for Brooklyn. Oprah Winfrey went to South Africa. She built the school. I don't have a problem with that. I'm a Pan-Africanist. But you're based in Chicago with the worst school system in America, one of the worst in the world. You didn't do nothing for them. This is what they do. And then you turn on the TV, what do you see? LeBron James and Kobe Bryant posing with white kids. If you notice, every time they show you an NBA Cares program, you always see black athletes helping white children. There might be one token black, but most of the time it's white. Why can't they help their own damn children? Because it's against the rules of white supremacy. If you want to be a rich black person, enjoy your money. Spend your money, but don't spend it on your own kind.
Or, don't spend it on your own kind to help your own kind. You could blow 50 racks
You could throw a party.
King of Diamonds, you could blow 50 racks at King of Diamonds. You could buy all the sneakers in the world. You could show off your Louis Vuitton sheets and all of that stuff. But if you Negroes even act like you want to help the condition of the Negroes around you, oh, no, we pulling plugs. You know what I mean? We coming up with scandals and all kind of shit. You getting pulled over, we putting a gun on you. Something is going to happen to sit you down.
They're going to Cat Williams you.
Yes, indeed. And we left out two things. There's two honorary positions. One, there's a light-skinned supremacy ring amongst the black aristocracy. Now, you could be dark-skinned and be a black aristocracy. Now, remember Vernon Jordan, Bill Clinton's buddy, who took the Monica Lewinsky rap, okay?
Yes.
Vernon Jordan, okay? He, dark-skinned brother, he made it to the aristocracy. But if you're light-skinned, sometimes you can get a special privilege because white people don't like being around dark-skinned blacks. They don't like being around black people, period. But if you got a brother or sister who's light-skinned and they belong to the aristocracy, that gives them an extra preference. But there's another special category that gives you even more preference than just having light skin, and that is if you're homosexual or lesbian. If you are homosexual and lesbian and you are in the black aristocracy, there is no limit to which you cannot climb. In fact, you can become president of the United States.
Oh. Talk about it.
And so that's why it's so important for us to build schools for our children so they can understand how white supremacy operates. See, white supremacy is a system. And because it is a system, we should never fall for any type of a token advancement because individuals don't change systems. People change systems, not individuals. So they give you a black president, but white supremacy has not changed. The system remains the same. They give you Oprah Winfrey, but white supremacy has not changed. The system is still the same. They give LeBron James. White supremacy has not changed. The system has remained the same. That's why we have to stop thinking we're doing better because you see another black face in a high place. White supremacy is a system. For example, take the worst public school in New York City. Take the worst public school in Philadelphia. Give that public school the best black principal you can find. Even with the best black principal you can find, the children are still going to fail. How can they fail with the best black principal in the damn country? Because the system in place prevents the children from being able to be successful. It prevents the black principal from being able to accurately administer instruction in that school. In other words, all the teachers are still what? White crackers who don't want to teach our children. Okay? Also, the manner in which the principal is going to be ordered to spend that money is still going to be the same. So they won't be able to redirect that money to the programs that's necessary in order to help the black children. The principal won't be able to make the teachers stay after school for extra meetings. They won't be able to extend the school day. They won't be able to teach African history. So even though you got a black face, you got the same system. So whether it's Obama, whether it's the principal, whether it's the mayor, whether it's the governor, you got the same damn system. I don't care if I have a black mayor. The system is still controlled by white people. So until you change the nature and function of the system, white supremacy is still in charge no matter whose face you see.